I like to. And we're back. This is Roto Hackers. My name is Judah Busha, and I'm here with the kid, AJ Herschel, the kid. I said it at the wrong spot. And
off to a flawless start.
The total stud himself. It's Jared. Oh, that was the worst. No. That was the worst.
All right.
Can we start over?
You want to do that
again? Anyways, we're sitting here talking about doomsday predictions of. So who did you say, Jared? That
Kirk Herbstreit. I can't remember if this was a tweet or article or interview or what, but he said that he would be shocked if there was college football or NFL this fall. Basically, would be shocked if there were any sports played in 2020 or after everything shut down.
That's crazy. That hurts the heart.
That does hurt the heart because at some point, like, of course, sports by comparison are not a big deal, low on the priority list. But we're talking, we're at the end of March now. Season starts at the beginning of September. Well, preseason's in August, but we're 6 months away, and you want to see by that point, like, life kind of starting to return to normal, and there's going to be this sort of societal need to just have some escapes and get back to normal and stuff. And so it's not really about a football of like, oh my gosh, I can't live without football, as just like a bigger issue of, gosh, I hope society's getting back to normal. Gosh, I hope there's an escape for us. And if it was football specifically, that would be really nice too. So
amen to that.
Yes. I think it's going to be kind of whack to see what the NBA ends up doing, because they were already like 65, 70 games into the season. So are they just going to hit to the playoffs now or what? That's going to be interesting, because they were almost there. They were getting close. And now everything's just been completely halted. And so that's what makes me wonder what's going to happen there.
Mark Cuban, of course, he would be contrary to Herbstreit here. But Cuban said that he thought that they could sort of get back going again on some level by the end of May, and then playing NBA games in June. So, he's got a much more optimistic outlook on that. I think if they do that, I don't think they can go straight into the playoffs. I think they would have to have, at least a few weeks or so of, because to jump straight into the playoffs after you've been, had this layoff, I think that would be tough.
Yeah. Still, though, from an NBA standpoint also, though, it's just like, oh, great, we get to watch the 19-win Cavs go lose again. And it's like no one's going to want to do that at that point.
Why couldn't they just go into the playoffs? Because everybody would be, I know people would be, unprepared.
Right. Because they've been, by that point, they'll have been out for 3 months. It's almost.
What if they did a whole league playoffs, like a bracket, and for the whole league?
What?
What if they did a bracket for the whole league?
A 30-team bracket?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like the playoff, like seeding or anything like that. I'm talking about like it's basically by the time they come back will have been like almost an off season for them.
Yeah, but everybody will be at the same level.
Yeah, but I don't know if you want, do they want to go out and have, I guess if the alternative was no basketball versus making the money that the NBA will make. But at this point, they're probably going to have to rearrange the league calendar for a year or two anyway to kind of cushion the gap in between if they do get it restarted. So I don't see any reason why you wouldn't just go ahead and at least give them a couple of weeks or something to kind of get acclimated back and get back in the rhythm. And, you've had, look at all the players. Not a ton, but you've had, players who have had it who haven't been able to condition. I don't know how much the players have been conditioning on their own. So I think it would just be, I think they would have to, at minimum, have some sort of
like a little preseason or something.
Yeah, some sort of little warm, even if it's just regular season games. Even if you go straight back to regular season games after a week or two of practice, I don't think you can just go straight to the playoffs.
Interesting. Well, is there any news out there, any NFL news that we can talk about that caught your guys' attention?
Well, from a Colts standpoint, they signed Xavier Rhodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he went from being just a shutdown guy. Cornerbacks, I'm not sure if there's any position that drops off faster than cornerbacks.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, even more so than running backs or wide receivers or anything. I mean, cornerbacks can go from shutdown to burnt toast within a year. And that was like what happened to him. So, but he's 29, so he's not 30 yet. It'll be interesting to see if he can kind of recapture some of that for a year with the Colts. I'm not sure if he'll start. They've got a couple of young guys that they like that are improving. Rock Yassin and I think Kenny Moore is the other one. But I think it just kind of just shows. I mean, with the Colts signing Rivers, with the Colts signing Xavier Rhodes, with the Colts trading their first round pick for DeForest Buckner, they're really kind of taking a shot at it next year to win a championship. The other thing I saw was, I don't know if you guys saw the controversy over the draft.
No, I don't think I did.
So there was a push by, let's see if I can find it here, but there was a push by GMs to push the draft back because, these teams can't really have pro days, or players can't really have pro days. A lot of stuff is just sort of out of whack. And so Roger Goodell said, well, typical Roger Goodell, ruling with an iron fist. So Adam Schefter tweeted yesterday that in Roger Goodell's memo that the draft will go on, he served warning to those around the league that criticized the league's stance. Goodell wrote, quote, "Public discussion of issues relating to the draft serves no useful purpose and is grounds for disciplinary action."
Okay.
So the NFL is just like, no, we're going ahead with the draft. No one needs to say otherwise. So,
Sure.
All right then.
So yeah, and we're gonna live stream that draft.
Yeah.
Be there. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird time for podcasters. I mean, just thinking from our standpoint, it's like, it's not, if there's not going to be a football season, like, I don't know how much I'm going to invest, I mean, I think of course we're going to continue to do this and talk to each other, but investing in the infrastructure of Roto Hackers, I don't know about that, if that would be a good, wise investment. And I wonder, I mean, just on that small scale that I'm thinking of it for this, like just like website and stuff, I wonder what the big guys are thinking,
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if I don't know how that'll work. I mean, I'm sure some guys are going to be, ESPN's probably not going to lay off Matthew Berry. Yahoo already laid off Brad Evans last year, so I would imagine that they would keep somebody like Andy Behrens around and stuff like that. But yeah, what do you do for, gosh, I mean, if there's just no season?
Makes me feel bad for Brad Evans. Like,
well, I think he got a new gig.
Where?
Let me look it up because he was talking. Can you hear that ding, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. I turned my little message thing off and it's decided that it doesn't want to. It's still going to just make little dings. All right. I literally quit out of the program.
Yeah, it does that.
I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to force quit out of
it. It's okay.
I mean,
it's not unpleasant.
Oh goodness. All right, let's see here. Brad Evans, where did you go? He went to okay, so he got a gig with Sirius XM.
Okay.
Interesting. Have you guys found that so I was thinking that because of the shelter in place and that for everybody and just the virus in general, that there would be more people watching the podcasts and stuff like that. It would be more people online. I have found that not to be true. I don't know. It's just anecdotal, but have you guys noticed? I don't know. Yeah. So first of all, have you guys noticed that more people aren't showing up to certain things online?
Well, Netflix did crash on day one of the Illinois lockdown for like 5 hours or something like that. So I think Netflix is getting all the internet traffic. Yeah, it didn't crash for me until like 11 o'clock.
Everybody's on Netflix watching The Tiger King.
Oh my gosh.
Or rewatching The Office for the 10th time. One of the two.
It's so weird. Those are the two things I've been watching.
Okay, well there you go. We've got anecdotal evidence right here.
It's just weird that you both would name the two things.
So I don't know. I would be curious to see how YouTubers numbers, podcasters numbers have changed. I would expect that they've gone up. I mean, maybe not significantly because maybe a lot of people are, just turning to like official streaming services. But I would imagine, I would have to believe that they've gone up somewhat.
Well, just in your own habits, have you guys been watching more podcasts, etc.?
I don't know if I have necessarily. I mean, I've still been, but part of the demographic I'm talking about is like people who may have lost their jobs and stuff like that. And I've still been working up until this week. I'm furloughed next week, but so things haven't been radically different for me. I mean, I don't watch that much TV anymore, and so. I maybe have a couple of shows that I watch, but other than that, I do spend a lot of time on YouTube or something like that. So it hasn't really changed for me because my life hasn't dramatically changed as much as some other people's. So.
Yeah, for me, I kind of go in like spurts of when stuff happens. Typically listen to Colin Cowherd a lot. So, I mean, there's no sports going on. I mostly listen to sports podcasts, and there's no sports going on.
That's a good point. I mean, some of the like industries like that I would listen to it for, like, well, there's nothing really to talk about. So
it's all filler content.
Yeah. So
it was good for a week when free agency was going, and then that was it.
Right. Yeah. So I'll still listen to some. Like I started watching a little bit. I went halfway through the Star Trek Picard series, and then I stopped. And because I hated it, and then I started listening to other people make fun of it. So I didn't see the last half. I watched the first 5 episodes, didn't see the last 5, and I got much more enjoyment out of just listening to people tear it apart than I did actually watching the show. So
that's funny because that's our mutual friend Ford. He hates it. He hated it, and you hated it too.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh man, that's sad.
It is nothing resembling Star Trek. It's basically just them pulling from generic sci-fi series, from video games, from Game of Thrones, from everything, and just trying to throw something together that looks smart. Like in my mind, like I got through episode 5, and I'm just like, this isn't canon. I'm not accepting this as canon. So. Yeah, it tries to be. Have you seen any of it?
No.
Okay, so it tries to be. Did you see Logan?
Yes.
It feels like you're watching Logan in space, sort of. I think Patrick Stewart. I've listened to a lot of I'm getting off on a tangent here, but just very quickly. So I've listened to a lot of the stuff about why I don't need the whole. I really don't. So I've listened to a lot of of stuff talking about Patrick Stewart coming back and and Patrick Stewart is does a lot of social activism and stuff, and and some of it I agree with, but I think he wanted to come back with too much of a specific message to try to like commentary on current world events and politics and stuff like that. And that was never Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek had bits and pieces of that, glimpses of it. And, and they broke barriers and things like that, but it wasn't just the entire message that they tried to, hammer home with you.
It was, it was never preaching.
It was never preaching. And they did it in a way of, that it was hopeful. It was more hopeful that society would be more advanced. And this one is just not, it's not that way. And so, I can't even, I'm trying to think like, what did I like about like the first couple episodes? It got off to an okay start. I was like, okay, I'm willing to give this a chance. And then just progressively got worse. There's a couple of characters in there that that they are clearly a take on Jaime and Cersei from Game of Thrones. There's a character in there who uses nothing but a sword. And the future where they've got, ray guns and everything else. And this dude is carrying around a sword fighting. I mean, we don't use swords now. A sword can't go up against a gun now. So you're not going to be using it in the so it just tries to be the ending, like basically tries to copy Mass Effect, the video game. So it's trash. It's garbage. I wish they had never even come back with it. So
wow. Oof. AJ, what about you? You're more of a Marvel guy, right?
I'm more of a Marvel. I like science fiction a lot. I'm a sci-fi guy for TV shows typically. Okay. So I am still torturing myself by I finally started The Office, but I'm still torturing myself by watching Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow at the same time. And I was like, okay, I'll make it to Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then I realized, okay, there's 576 episodes I need to catch up on.
That's a lot of TV watching.
It's a lot. So I think I'm just going to finish the seasons that I'm on, and then I'll be done because I think we're going to switch to Disney Plus permanently.
Okay.
Because right now I'm the only one in my family who watches Netflix. So, I mean, I'm in the middle of Agent Carter, which is fine. I kind of want to start Runaways, but
I heard Agent Carter was one of the best ones.
Season 1 wasn't bad. It was fine.
Jared,
Jarvis
liked it, right?
was the best part, though.
I saw part of it. It didn't hook me enough. It's a good, solid show, but it's almost kind of like I don't know. I guess I would kind of compare it to like how I watched Breaking Bad, and then now there's Better Call Saul. And Better Call Saul is a good show, but it doesn't always, like, I forget that it's on, and I have to go back and watch episodes, and it doesn't like grab me enough for me to make sure to tune in every week. So I think that's kind of how Agent Carter was.
Interesting. AJ, you were saying that Jarvis is in. Wait, Jarvis.
Yes.
Okay,
Jarvis,
the butler, the human.
Yes, the person that the later Jarvis is named after.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
He's awesome. He is the best part of the show, hands down.
Interesting. Yeah, we're going back and spot watching different MCU stuff.
Nice.
We just and then last night we just watched Batman Begins, and
nice.
It was better than I remembered. I was like,
Batman Begins. I would argue this is probably an outlier, maybe not necessarily an unpopular opinion, but I think Batman Begins is the best of the three Nolan movies, of the three Christopher Nolan movies, because I think The Dark Knight gets graded on a curve because of how good Heath Ledger's performance was as the Joker.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
because and it's not really a Batman movie; it's a Joker movie. You know,
it is. It is. Yeah. And so that doesn't mean I don't like it. I love it. I love that character, and man, I wish we could have gotten another one from him. But as an overall movie, Batman Begins is probably one of my favorite. One of my favorite superhero movies.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Well,
Now we
football.
gotta wait 4 months for Black Widow to come out because it got pushed.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
saw-
I'm pretty sure it did.
I saw somebody say that some bigwig, I can't remember who it was, is petitioning Disney to release it online.
No, it'll never. I don't think it'll happen. That's too much money for them. That's too
Really?
much money.
That's not happening.
It was a big name. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't that big. Hopper, whoever plays Hopper. Nah, it wasn't a big name.
Oh, David. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't
No?
think it is.
It could be though.
That's $1.3 billion down the drain, basically, almost. Okay, at least $800 million, but still.
Yeah, you're right.
Still, everything else that's worth watching got delayed. Mulan got delayed.
Don't you think
No Time to Die got delayed? Black Widow got delayed, and Trolls got moved up because I don't want to watch. Anyway,
but they're gonna be bailed out in the next bailout. So they just write it up.
And they will happily accept that money, and then also take the money from Black Widow when they release it after the pandemic is over.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's probably.
It'll be like everyone's moment when they get out of the house, and they'll be like, "Hey, Black Widow's here as soon as you get out." And that's what's gonna happen.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks the preview for Black Widow looks interesting.
That's true. Yeah.
what I'm curious about is the timing of it, because I have to believe, I read an article on this, I have to believe they're going to introduce like I don't know the actress's name, but she plays the sister
Yelena
of Black Widow. I have to believe they're going to introduce her as the new Black Widow. Otherwise, the timing of this movie makes absolutely no sense, because otherwise, I mean, it would have been much more interesting during the Marvel timeline when you didn't know how this was going to play out. We know now what ultimately plays out of it. Of course, everyone is sending me
You're like the most popular person in the world right now.
Just bombarded by text because we're trying to nothing prior to in the morning prior to me getting on this podcast, and then now it's just bing, 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 bing. And I don't know how to turn it off. But I read an article talking about how there was a theory that this other Black Widow is going to get introduced as the new Black Widow, and it's going to push her. Maybe there's a post-credit scene in the future of where she meets, I don't know, whoever's left from the Avengers. Falcon or Black Panther or something. So, yeah. So.
I wonder if they do something where, like, the whole time you see them as her and her sister, and at the end, like, you've just had the wrong perspective, and the real Black Widow is her sister or something, or she takes over, and so the Black Widow we know is actually Black Widow's sister, and she just takes on her name.
Are you saying like body swapping?
No, like perspective swapping. So like they use the trick of us knowing what's her name's face. What's her name?
Natasha.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson's face, and really Scarlett Johansson, the actress, is actually Black Widow's sister or something like that. So we know her as Black Widow, but it turns out that the real Black Widow is her older sister.
I see what you mean.
Okay.
Maybe so.
I don't know. That just came to me. I don't know how that would work out, but
yeah, I think
they're gonna have
to
do. They have to do something, right?
Yeah. There's only one thing I really want out of this movie, and I just do not want Taskmaster to be dumb, because I love him so much, and he looks so good in the trailer so far.
Is that that's the Hopper character?
That's the guy with the sword and the shield and the mask.
No, Hopper plays
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian. Yeah,
Red Guardian.
yeah. I don't know who plays Taskmaster.
Yeah.
You knew Taskmaster before?
Yes, I did. He's on Spider-Man PS4, dude. And I knew him before that, but he's one of my favorite Marvel villains because he has an ability that whatever he sees, he can replicate exactly. So it's almost like photogenic reflexes. So I really do not want them to mess him up.
Did either of you ever watch Heroes ever?
I did. I was a huge fan of Heroes season 1, and then actually I was talking to Steven Sandridge about this the other day, because we were talking about how, you know, now they would normally be at least like in pre-production for a lot of shows, and so I don't know how much things are going to get delayed in the fall. Like, you know, are shows going to not come back? Shows that would normally come back in like September or October, are they going to come back in December? Are they going to get pushed to the start of the year next year or what? And so we actually got onto that. Like, is this going to be like the writer's strike? He was asking me if it was going to be like the writer's strike and how that ruined some shows like Heroes, because Heroes season 2, lost AJ. Heroes season 2 was just where the show fell apart for me. And I think part of it was because of the writer's strike. They came back and they were in a hurry to get something out. But I don't think this will be the same way, because the writers can still do like teleconference and do a, you know, teleconference writers room. So I think it'll be okay. Shows will just get delayed. And actually it might actually result in some better products, because they'll have more time to actually talk through some of this. So
it may kill movies though, because movies you have to get like the Batman movie the new Batman movie has to halt production.
But I mean, at that point, the worst thing that could happen is you have an extended production period. I mean, like, because a lot of stuff's been postponed or moved back or canceled. So if you're because like we said, if you're just writing it, you can call and do that. But if you're actually filming it, everyone's staying home anyway. So I mean, as long as Tom Cruise is working out to stay in shape for MI7, it should be fine.
I just think though that movies are on the decline anyways. You know, because I think Netflix and what have you are eating movies. That this may be a kicker for that. You know,
I've had that thought, not in terms of we may be thinking of the same thing. Like when you say movies, do you mean like theaters?
I'm
like
sorry,
theatrical releases?
Yes, theaters.
I agree. That's what I've wondered, is if this is like the death knell for theaters, because they were already, like you said, in trouble to a certain extent. You know, is this going to be the thing that kind of gives them their like a home, you know, like their blockbuster video moment, where it's like, yeah, okay, it's just done. It's just going to be a thing that goes away now. I do wonder. I mean, I don't think it's not going to kill all of them. Roto hackers are nerds. It's not going to kill all of them, but I think you could see it like a reduction, you know.
What do you think, Jared? Would Heroes be something that does it have anything? It was pretty clean, right? Because I know AJ and I respect AJ's high standard for that kind of thing. Would Heroes be something he would be able to watch?
Man, it's hard for me to recommend Heroes after it derails. I mean, as far as like the
first season,
the content of it, I think it was fine. But you get invested in it. You get invested in it after the first season, and you're like, oh, where's this going to go? Somewhere disappointing. And then they tried to bring it back. Yeah. Do you remember the revival?
Yahoo or something? Or how did they?
No, it came back on NBC.
Really?
It came back on NBC. Yeah. And some of those, like some of them though, wouldn't go back. Like you know,
some of the main characters.
Yeah, Milo Ventimiglia, he plays in This Is Us now, and they didn't. I actually saw a Q&A with him where he was they asked him about going back to Heroes, and he's like, no. And you know, and Zachary Quinto, I can't remember if Zachary Quinto appeared in the reboot of it or not, but he's become, you know, he got into Star Trek and stuff like that. So unfortunately, it's sad, but Heroes will just forever be one of those shows that, you know, just wasted its potential.
It was lost.
It was lost. Yeah, it was kind of like AJ. Basically, AJ, it was kind of like a generic version of, well, and I don't mean generic. Like the first season was good. It was sort of like if you got an X-Men TV show. Yeah, that was kind of what it was. And it was good.
What? Well, Legion existed for a while.
Maybe we get a X-Men series on Disney Plus or something. I don't know, but they'll probably make them. They'll probably use them in the movies, and then like lesser characters could get Disney Plus series or something. Yeah, but that was the appeal. That was the appeal of Heroes, is because we had never gotten an X-Men live action series, and so it was kind of like the closest thing that had ever been to an X-Men live action series. And for one season, it was really good. It had a hook. It had a good hook, which was the cheerleaders save the world. And it just did not go well after that.
Well, so you mentioned it. Are there any series that you guys are worried the same thing's going to happen, like that you're invested in right now, that you're worried is going to peter out because of any of this, or just in general? Any like a Firefly type situation.
For me, I just don't have that much. I do watch This Is Us, which I was talking about, Milo Ventimiglia. It's a family drama. I've always hated family dramas, but This Is Us is a little bit different. It plays with timelines and keeps things
good writing, huh?
Interesting. It's very good writing. It's got 2 more seasons. They've kind of set an end date for it. And I'm not worried about this affecting it. I don't really watch a whole lot. Usually, most of the other stuff that I watch is HBO stuff. And a lot of it's already ended. Game of Thrones has ended. Actually, this would have been better if this had happened prior to Game of Thrones' final season, and then maybe those showrunners had gone off and done something else, and we could have gotten better showrunners. But other than that, I'm not really that invested. I've gotten back into Westworld. Westworld's okay. Westworld's kind of like Heroes in a way. It's like a show that's never really lived up to its potential. So I don't think for me there's anything that I'm worried about, getting crushed by it.
How about you, AJ?
Well, I never watched a ton of TV either before until we got Netflix, and then I started basically just watching stuff up there. I think the only thing I'm concerned about is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because
that's still going?
It's still going, yeah.
Wow.
But they filmed it all. They filmed it all at the same time as season 6, right?
Yeah, I think they filmed most of it. I don't know if they filmed every single thing, but I think they did a lot of it. And I'm worried about it because it was like season 1 wasn't great until like the last few episodes, and then 2 was good, 3 was better, and then 4 was my favorite. 4 was the best one with Ghost Rider, LMD. That was awesome.
Ghost Rider's in it?
Ghost Rider was in season 4, and it was so good.
I gotta check that out.
It was good. Season 4 was the best one, and then 5 and 6. 5 turned into like Resident Evil for 5 episodes, and it was weird. And then 6 was solid, and then 7 comes in time travel, and I'm like, please, I've seen enough time travel stuff. Legends of Tomorrow already broke the rules of time and it doesn't work, and so I don't know anymore. I'm just worried for that in general.
Yeah. The worrisome thing to me about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because I watch it too, is that they thought the show might be ending with season 5, Yeah. And so really the season 5 finale was made to be a series finale. And I don't know how they could ever, to me, it was almost perfect. And, so then when you extend a show on, are you going to be able to, really come up with something that's that good again? So I worry about that too for that reason.
Yeah, that's what I feel like happened to Arrow, because season 3 was such a perfect cap on everything after that. It was so nice. The first 3 seasons were just a perfect little bottle, and they kept going. And I'm like, it's not as good. And I would have been mad if they had ended Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. personally. I mean, it would have been a good ending, but my favorite character would have died. So,
oh, thanks for spoiling it.
Hey, I didn't tell you who it was.
Taskmaster, whatever. No, all right. Well, unless you guys have any more ideas, I was thinking we could talk a little bit about our fears about football.
Actually, there's one thing you probably should know, though, Judah Buddha. There's one thing you should know. your guy, Greg the Leg, is gone from LA.
What? Where'd he go?
He's not there anymore.
He just got cut. Period. I guess.
I think he got signed by someone else. I don't know if he got cut, but
That's what a fascinating like fantasy guy. You know, like he's just so amazing at the beginning of the year.
one kicker Judah Buddha cares about.
I care about lately. I've been caring more about well, up until last year, of course. Justin Hammer,
Tucker.
Justin Tucker. Yeah,
he's in Dallas, Judah Buddha.
he's in Dallas. Ooh,
Greg the Legs in Dallas. Interesting.
Yeah. Brett Maher's gone.
interesting.
So now, did you guys remember to? I don't think Judah did. I'm gonna guess Judah didn't. That we talked about doing our top 15 ranking.
No, I didn't.
I could have won money on that bet.
Did you, AJ?
I did top 10s. I didn't do complete top 15s, but I did top 10s. Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about your guys' top 10.
And then I got a game for us to finish off after we're done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the game.
Oh, you forgot about that.
Jared, you
Well,
want
because I wasn't required to bring anything for the game.
I even thought about it on I've been working a little bit on a website, and I thought about how to put that on the website. Do you guys, we should probably just put it right there on the front page, right?
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Or maybe make like a picture that sends us to the location of the rankings.
Maybe we could do that. First three or something. So can you share yours with us? Do you want to share it?
I don't know if I want to just go through all of them.
Position by
screen
position.
share. Do
Oh,
you want
yeah.
to screen share it?
Let's see. Let me see if I can put it in a. See if I can put it in a document here.
That's what I forgot to do. I was going to make slides for it, and I forgot. Dang it.
Man, I even made slides, dude. You're way behind, man.
You know, I'm going to multitask. I'm going to make slides on this computer and talk on this computer. I can do it.
I'm going to do mine while I'm waiting for you guys to do it. And
I just type it up in a Google Doc, or not a Google Doc.
you can share that if you open it. If you open it in a Chrome tab, you can share that. Google Doc.
All right, let's see here. Come on.
This would be the time I'd say we'd have a commercial break, but we have no commercials.
So I was thinking about, okay, I'm not going to do a Google Doc. I'm going to do a Google Sheet so I can organize it.
Very nice.
All right, so let me see. Whose am I going to copy?
So yeah, I can probably share this here. So I did top.
You said, did you just say what can I get copy? I'm sorry, Jared. Would you really just
Delayed
say,
reaction.
copy? Yeah, it just took me a second to process what you said, and I'm like, wait a minute. Sorry. Go
Okay.
So I kind of went, I kind of went bold with some of mine. But some of them will kind of look crazy, but then you look at how going into a season we thought things were going to go versus how they actually went, and so I wouldn't, even if I rank guys a certain way, that doesn't mean I would draft this guy over this guy at this spot, because you could get this guy like 2 rounds later. I'm just saying I think he may have a better year. Let's see. What is going on?
These are the moments I start either whistling the Andy Griffith Show or Jeopardy.
These are the moments. So we're doing QB, RB, wide receiver, and tight end, right?
Yeah.
What would that be called? Combined, or what would that be called? Like top 100, or how do people in the industry talk about it?
Sorry, I'm trying to set my thing up.
You mean like all of them combined?
Huh?
You mean like all of your ones combined?
No, like the fact that, because most people do their rankings based on running back only, QB only, and like, what is it called when you combine it? Is it just called combined, or?
Oh no, it's called I think is it composite?
Composite.
Okay.
That's right.
Right. Well, it says it's sharing this tab.
Okay.
Did it
There it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up for you. There it is.
All right.
There it is. So let's see. I'll scroll up into my. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
So you didn't do a composite.
I didn't. I know. I did. I thought we were doing positional
You're right.
rankings.
Yeah, positional rankings. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you look at somebody like, I mean, mine are different from other people's, but here's my reasoning on like Russell Wilson. People are going to have Russell Wilson probably anywhere from like 4 to 6 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's too inconsistent for me. He gives you too many just dud games. He doesn't run as much anymore. And towards the end of the season last year, I mean, you look at his game by game log down the stretch, and it was not good. And he just sort of like bailed out on people at the worst time. So like in theory, he's got a lot of good weapons. Maybe his offensive line is better. But I don't like drafting him, and that's not getting better as he gets older, really. Deshaun too. I'm worried about Deshaun. I think Deshaun's probably gonna do better than where I've got him ranked there, but he flopped in the playoffs too, and now, he lost DeAndre Hopkins, who was his safety valve in a lot of ways. I mean, not only a big playmaker, but was the safety valve. So I tend to go for consistency over, Russell Wilson's going to have games where he throws for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and runs for 2. And then he's going to have games where he, throws for 210 yards and no touchdowns. So, so I'm not that big on either one of those. Tannehill is another one people are knocking down, kind of writing off his performance, but he's got a good running game. He's got a good receiver in A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I feel better about him. Matt Stafford is another one who last year was having a great year, with Galladay and Marvin Jones, Hawkinson, all those guys, before he got injured. I think he was on pace for like close to 40 touchdowns before he got injured and ended up only playing half the year. Obviously, I'm not going to rank anybody above Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. I am kind of afraid of some year 2 regression with Lamar, kind of like we saw with Patrick Mahomes. I don't think I'm going to be investing a lot of first or second round picks in Lamar like you're going to have some people doing. I think there's just too much risk there with a quarterback. I might take him in a league or two just for the heck of it, especially maybe if it's an auction league. So I tried to, like, under each little tab, kind of write in some of the guys that I think are going to be sort of my Chris Carsons this year, where it's guys who are going to get drafted later than they probably should, but I feel pretty good about what they're going to give you for their draft position. And so I think there's a lot of receivers this year that are going to be kind of like the Chris Godwins of last season, where you're probably going to get, if Ben Roethlisberger stays healthy, you're probably going to get a bounce back year from Juju. T.Y. Hilton now has Phillip Rivers throwing to him. Calvin Ridley is probably going to continue to take more of a leading role in the Falcons offense, where it's not going to be as much of a Julio show, which he's pretty inconsistent anyway. But a lot of these guys, Deebo Samuel, Michael Gallup, Darius Slayton, Terry McLaurin, I think there's a lot of guys that are kind of going into their second or third year that can be some of those Chris Godwin type receivers from last year. And Tampa's receivers even kind of worry me a little bit, just due to the fact that they're not going to have to throw as much to make up for Jameis Winston's interceptions. So I guess maybe if there's anything, I don't know how we want to do this, if there's anything you guys want to discuss or talk about why, ranked a certain player there, or how we want to do it.
I'm just very curious at Daniel Jones at 5, because that's just the Giants. Really, I'm a little bit shocked at that one, because the Eagles and Cowboys still are there, even though they aren't great.
Mm-hmm.
I get him on the list, but 5, that's just a little bit high.
He had some big games towards the end of last year, and I know his weapons, he doesn't have a star wide receiver, but Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley, and typically when we've seen the jump for quarterbacks, it's from year 1 to year 2. Carson Wentz, Lamar Jackson, of course Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes didn't play year 1. But I really Kyler Murray's weapons are better, and Kyler Murray's going to have a better rushing floor. But I think he and Daniel Jones could both take a pretty good year 2 jump. I don't know. Honestly, I feel a little bit better about him than a lot of the other guys who, like Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I think, had like 9 rushing touchdowns last year. There's probably going to be some regression there. And I don't know how much he's got Stephon Diggs, but I don't know how much he's going to improve in terms of accuracy, things like that. Drew Brees, that's of course taking a risk ranking Daniel Jones above somebody like Drew Brees, but Drew Brees really tends to be ranked around like 9 or 10, I think, in most people's draft list. I've probably got him a couple of spots higher than a lot of people do. But again, I just tend to avoid guys like Russell Wilson for just how streaky they can be, how inconsistent they can be. Again, Deshaun, that kind of scares me with him. So now I would not draft Daniel Jones, like I was saying, as my 5th quarterback. I would not draft him in the 7th round or something like that. But as far as where I think he can finish, I think he can beat out, most of those guys.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I would say my problem with Daniel Jones is he is not a very skilled quarterback. He has a few things that, like, I think what he does really well is he runs really well. He's a beast. He's a lot like Josh Allen in that he's got a great arm and he runs really well. I just think that both Josh Allen and Daniel Jones are going to have to retool their game a little because coaches are going to be on it. Guess what? Everybody is going. Lamar Jackson, same thing. Everybody's going to be figuring out how to stop the run, the quarterback run this year.
Well, but Jones didn't really run that much. I mean, typically he would run for about 25 yards in a game, but those last let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So after over the last 7 weeks of the season, he threw for 300 yards or more in 4 of those 7 games. In 3 of those 7 games, he had 4 or 5 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. So his completion percentage was good. Basically, he had one bad game. It was a 54% completion percentage. The rest of the time, it was pretty much at 60 or above. So I think Jones is a little bit different. I trust him more as a passer. He's not going to have the rushing floor of Josh Allen, but I trust him more as a passer. And he's got that safety valve in Barkley that he can just dump the ball off to. And even though he doesn't have a star receiver, he's got I think 3 very capable number 2 receivers, and then also the 7 games that you'll get out of Evan Ingram.
How much of it do you think some of these 5 touchdown games were just that? I don't know. It just felt fluky to me in the sense that they were playing terrible teams. They were a terrible team.
Mm-hmm.
The game planning wasn't sharp on either side of the field.
Yeah, but I mean, my philosophy is a little bit different, but I tend to go more based on who teams are playing in some ways than you would, and so they're still going to be in a division with Dallas, Philadelphia, and Washington. Yeah. None of those defenses scare me. You put someone in the AFC North that they've got to play the Steelers defense. Let's say that let's take the Bengals. Let's take AJ Green or Joe Mixon, or even if you draft Burrow as a late round flyer or something like that. You've got to go up against the Browns defense twice, which really is good on paper. It should have been better than what it was last year. You've got the Ravens defense, which is really good. You've got the Steelers defense, which is really good. That's 6 games. That's 6 games out of your 16-game schedule. So part of it too is the fact that, the Giants are in a relatively weak division in terms of defenses. So, so I kind of factor that into it too.
That's good.
And
anything else? Yeah.
Well, just to wrap up on him. Yeah. I'm not going to use an early round pick on him. I think he has a chance to finish there, but I think really the thing with him is just the value that you're going to get, because it's going to be like Dak and Lamar last year, where nobody was really, that far in on them. They were late round picks or they went undrafted. And so, you can still get a safer option at quarterback in the 8th or 9th round, and then maybe get Daniel Jones, a few rounds later. So that's really
that's true.
What I think of in terms of drafting a guy with value. So,
Nice.
Here's my last question for you on this. I know you're not a huge fan of Russell Wilson, but if nothing else, he's always been very consistent in places top 10 almost every year. I'm interested about why you have him so low.
Yeah. So numbers wise, he'll finish higher. Total numbers wise, he'll finish higher. He won't be, barring an injury or something. I can't imagine that he'll be the 12th ranked quarterback. But it is for me just that consistency. Either consistency, or if there's a time when a guy is going to let you down, you can predict it a little bit better. Like in terms of Drew Brees and Ben Roethlisberger and their home road splits,
Okay.
So Russell Wilson's games where he has letdowns, they don't seem to come with a lot of rhyme or reason. It seems really hard to predict those. And so I don't like having him as my quarterback, because I don't know when those are going to come, and I definitely do not want them to come in weeks 15 or 16 with the playoffs.
Okay. All right. Nice. I'm with that.
All right, let's move on to running back. Or you want to go through yours first, or do you want to do yours first and then?
We can jump over to. I was just kind of starting us off because since I kind of had mine ready to go, but if you want to jump over to AJ's running backs or however we need to do it.
let's just go through all yours first, and then we'll go through all AJ's.
Okay, that works. So Matthew Berry and Jake Seeley from The Athletic both have Dalvin Cook at 2. Dalvin Cook is just I can't trust the injuries. He would be, I think, 5 for me. You've got, McCaffrey, Barkley, Henry, and Zeke. The 4 of those guys, Barkley, of course, had his injury last year, but those guys produce basically the same or similarly, and you don't have as much of the injury risk. After that, it kind of starts getting a little more dicier because you start finding reasons why you could rank one guy above another. But, Austin Eckler, when he was the guy for the Chargers last year, did a really good job. And then, of course, Melvin Gordon came back and kind of muddied those waters. Joe Mixon, he kind of found his stride late last year. But, the tough thing is he's got like that schedule that I was talking about. He's got to play the Browns twice. He's got to play the Ravens twice. He's got to play the Steelers twice.
I'm surprised you have it so high, honestly.
Well, I thought about that, but I think, I don't know. I think it's just with him, he's the guy. And other guys like Aaron Jones, the Packers seem committed to wanting to do, a split backfield with him and Jamal Williams or him and whoever else is there. Nick Chubb, he's got how does that shake out? Once Kareem Hunt came on, then Chubb wasn't getting as many catches. He was losing goal line work. Kenyon Drake, Kenyon Drake's a guy I really like this year. I think he could be my Chris Carson potentially this year, depending on where he's going in drafts. But, he did well in Arizona. David Johnson is gone. Now maybe he has to compete. Well, not necessarily compete, but maybe he loses some touches to the Chase Edmonds or someone like that. But Drake he was a monster at times last year. Kamara was the toughest one to rank, and he probably doesn't finish, 11th overall.
Yeah.
But he's probably not somebody I'm going to draft a lot of because, he's never been a 1,000 yard rushing guy.
Yeah.
He was relying on a lot of catches. And then once they started incorporating Latavius Murray more, and he wasn't getting as many catches and he wasn't getting as much of the goal line work, you're probably going to have to draft him as a first round guy, probably late first round. I don't know if I want to invest in that after the way they used him last year. So he was the toughest one to rank. And then I kind of fill it out with, Jacobs, Gurley, Fournette, and Carson, who I think are all relatively safe.
You have Carson pretty high. Wow.
Hey, I've always been a Chris Carson guy.
That's actually, it's not too high. I was thinking it was top 10, this top 15.
Yeah, it's top 15. So that's kind of it for running backs. Some of the guys I like Drake, and Mack. If the Colts offense with Rivers, I think Mack can be more reliable. And then your man, Devin Singletary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did you have Devin? You don't have Devin Singletary.
I don't have him ranked in my top 15. I just have him as one of the guys down below. So,
the one that I can't get behind is Eckler. I don't think he's going to be all that great. I think he, again, like my problem with Daniel Jones in some ways, is like there are certain things. Surprises, I think, when they come on the league that you get enough tape on them, you can shut them down. I think people are going to be ready. If he is indeed the number one running back, I think that teams are going to shut down Eckler.
Maybe. I mean, I think, with Rivers being gone, depending on who they bring in at quarterback, that could be an issue. But I don't know if they drafted a Justin Herbert or something. I think there's potential for them to kind of lean on him in those little, as sort of a safety valve. So
Yeah,
I
that's
like.
true.
I think my screen's actually frozen, so I can still talk. But once I get through my receivers, I'll probably have to reboot or whatever. But so yeah, just with the receivers. The receivers is probably, like, in terms of the top 15 rankings, probably the least interesting position. I didn't really do anything crazy with those guys.
I don't know. This is pretty interesting to me. Of course, I haven't looked at anybody else's, but
yeah,
wow.
Amari Cooper, I slid him down some. I hate his inconsistency too. It's kind of the Russell Wilson effect for him. AJ Brown, I probably put higher than a lot of guys. Thielen in Minnesota, Diggs is gone, so I think Thielen could go back to kind of being something closer to that target monster that we saw a couple years ago. But really, like I said, I think this year there's going to be a lot of those guys like the Godwin type from last year, where you've got guys that are breaking out, like a Michael Gallup or a DK Metcalf or a Slayton, a McLaurin or something like that. Or you're going to have guys like TY or Juju that are going to bounce back. Yeah. And so I think, you've got an opportunity to really sort of draft an elite running back, an elite receiver, maybe an elite tight end at the beginning of the draft, maybe even take your quarterback there. And then you're going to have a lot of depth at receiver that you can kind of get in those later, like 6, 7, 8 rounds, So I'll probably go with something similar to my strategy from last year, where in the first, I think 5 rounds, I tried to get 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds, and then, because I think there's just too much depth at receiver later. Tight end, it's pretty much the usual.
All right, well, let's comment on the wide receivers. AJ, I haven't heard much from you.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked Evans isn't higher than 12, because first year with Brady, Evans was clearly the number 1 until he got injured. That's probably the one I'm most shocked about.
Yeah.
Having him down at 12.
Judah and I talked about it a little bit. Like, Evans is more of the downfield guy, and Brady's, it's not like his arm's falling off, but he's not the downfield passer that he was before. And the Bucks are probably not going to be, I think it's going to be a different style now, to where they're not going to be, again, they won't have to make up for as many interceptions from Jameis, So I like Godwin a little bit better to still kind of keep most of his role. But Evans worries me a little bit in terms of being able to maintain that same type of production. So
okay, all right.
Where do you think? I need to look at Russ. Who was it that came to my mind? You don't have Chark anywhere on here. Where do you think Chark will land?
That's a tough call. We don't know if Minshew is he going to be the quarterback? Is Jacksonville going to draft a guy? Because they could still draft a guy, and so there's some mocks that have them taking somebody. I like Chark, but it was hard to kind of project where he would be. I don't.
Where did he end up last year? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
DJ Chark finished 17th.
Okay. Interesting. And then the other question was AJ Green. What do you guys think? He's not on your list at all.
Not on the top 15.
Potentially he could be. He could be back up there in top 10 again, right?
He sure, potentially, but so many unknowns.
Yeah.
unknowns or not trending well. So like he's coming back from injury. He struggled to come back from injury last year. We don't know who's going to start out as his quarterback, if there's going to be a quarterback switch midway through the season, or if it's going to be Burrow from the start. He plays in that division that I'm talking about, with having to go up against the Browns twice, the Ravens twice, the Steelers twice. So for me, it was sort of 3 strikes there.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I can't really go through my tight end list without rebooting. So maybe we can get back to that later. I mean, basically the start of it is like everybody else's tight end list, probably, where it's Kelsey and Kittle at the top. I personally feel a little bit better about Andrews over Ertz, because Ertz is going to be competing more with Goddard for catches, and then you can't really see because of the bar. But fifth, I put Austin Hooper in there. I'm a little reluctant to trust that in that Browns offense with Baker throwing to OBJ, Jarvis, Hunt and Chubb. I don't know. I think we may find out that Austin Hooper was more of a product of, the Falcons offense and Matt Ryan liking to throw to the tight end than he was, than he will be in somewhere like Cleveland. But there really wasn't anybody else that made sense to put above him. But then I think sort of in that 7 through 10 range, I put some guys in there, if I remember correctly, that let's see, or maybe I can just pull it up. Maybe I can just pull it up on my phone. That way we can kind of wrap up mine, and then let you guys can start talking about AJ's while I reboot here. If I can find it in my drafts. Let's see here.
Were you gonna show AJ? Were you gonna show a? Did you finally make your?
I am in the process of making it, but I've got some of it down. Yes, actually, Jared, I have one last question for you about your wide receivers.
Yeah.
There's no Cooper Kupp up here. Where would you have him?
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
It's hard for me to trust Cooper Kupp after the inconsistency last year. I mean, I would have him in the 16 to 20 range.
Yeah,
I think. But it's hard for me to trust him over any of those guys who are going to be the guy for their team. Whereas, with him, they started going more to Robert Woods. They started going more to the tight ends. Yeah. And so you never knew what you were going to get from Cooper Kupp.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't have him there. Okay. So for my tight ends, you can see kind of through 6 there. Waller is 6th. And then 7 through 10, I actually put a couple of guys that are usually in the back end of the top 10 for analysts, Jared Cook and Dallas Goedert. Cook's at 8 and Goddard's at 10, but I actually put a couple of guys up there. I put Hayden Hurst, the Falcons' new tight end, at 7. Former first-round pick. He's stepping into Austin Hooper's role. Hooper's going into his 3rd season. I think he can, kind of seamlessly step in as that 3rd option there for the Falcons. Matt Ryan likes to throw to his tight ends. So I feel really good about him being a late-round guy. And then at 9, Jack Doyle, the Colts tight end.
Interesting.
Phillip Rivers loves to throw to his tight ends. Doyle was starting to come along a little bit, but then got demoted to having Jacoby Brissett last year. So that hurt his production. But, Phillip Rivers loved to throw to Antonio Gates. He loved throwing to Hunter Henry. The Colts aren't, the Colts wide receivers aren't the best. So I think Doyle can be a really good, reliable option in that offense. I put Hunter Henry at 11 because I'm not really sure. Not sure who's going to be throwing to him. The Chargers have good wide receivers, and Austin Eckler, will probably catch a lot of passes. And then I think there's a couple other guys, young tight ends that were, rookies last year, like TJ Hawkinson in Detroit, and Mike Gesicki in in Miami. I can't remember if Gesicki was a rookie or he was in his second year, but both of those guys I think could come along. I'm not as high on Tyler Higbee as some people are, because I mean, Higbee was a monster down the stretch last year, but that was because Gerald Everett was hurt some. I've heard that the Rams are looking at tight ends in the draft, and so I don't. It feels kind of like a Damian Williams situation in Kansas City, where like he produced because he was the guy, but do they really trust him enough? Are they really invested enough to continue feeding him that way? So I don't really trust Higbee. I would much rather take a chance on somebody like Hayden Hurst or Jack Doyle, someone like that. So that's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in full agreement with that, honestly.
What do you like? One thing I hadn't thought of until I looked at some of these other lists from last year. What's gonna happen with the Patriots wide receivers? Like Edelman, is he gonna fall off the face of the earth? Is he just become a Joe? What's going on?
I think. I mean, he's always injury prone anyway. It's kind of hard to rely on him anyway. But I think if they go with, I think Belichick will still go with sort of an accurate, steady passer, whoever that is. If it's Jarrett Stidham or I don't know who, but I think Edelman will still get his targets. Yeah,
I guess so.
I mean, the Patriots passing game, as bad as it was last year, like I think it might actually be an improvement this year.
Really?
Was somebody like Stedham?
Yeah. I mean, it was just, you think about like, what did it produce last year? You had Antonio Brown for a week. There was no tight end that you could use. You could use James White in spots, but apart from Edelman, there was really nobody. I think it could actually be an improvement this year. It's hard for me to imagine it being worse. I mean, at minimum, it's going to be a push. I don't think it's going to be any worse than last year. So I think actually maybe, and is it Knicks or who's the receiver that they drafted? I forgot the young receiver's name, and my computer's frozen, so I can't look it up. But they had the young receiver out of Arizona State, I think it was, that we thought Mike could come along. Maybe he breaks out a little bit in year two. So yeah, I could see the Patriots passing game delivering like a sleeper or two.
Interesting.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see who their quarterback's going to be. That's going to be really important.
Yeah. All right. Let me reboot, and you guys can start ahead with AJ's or however you want to do it.
Okay. You got to reboot your whole computer?
It's frozen. The whole thing's frozen. Yeah, I've been talking for a while without, just frozen on one screen.
Oh, wow. We can see you fine. That's weird.
Yeah, it is. I know, but just the mouse cursor.
Let me see. Let me see if this will change anything.
What?
I think it's just no. It's just a MacBook issue. So all right. Yeah, hang on. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
So AJ, you've got what do you got for us?
Oh boy. So this is going to be a little bit whack. I still have to type up my tight ends. Oh wait, is Jared still here?
No.
Okay, he's frozen. Okay, there we go.
I just removed him.
Okay. It's actually
kick from studio.
All right. Cool. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit whack.
You're gonna share it with us, though, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to pull it up right now. So I actually have not typed up my tight ends yet, so I'll just go to wide receivers for now.
Is there a way to make you the big one and me the little one?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's just the host is only able to do that, and
okay,
you're the host. So All right.
How does it distinguish between me and you as the host or not?
Because you're on first.
Really?
Oh wait, can I click it and it works for me? No.
No, interesting.
No, rats. I don't have that kind of power. Actually, let me do
He
this.
who is first.
Let me actually do this. I'm going to come in from this other side actually, and launch from here. Trust me on this. Trust me on. All right, I'm gonna hope this works. Here we go. I'm gonna hope this works.
Nothing yet.
It's not working. Give me a second.
What's going on here?
Doing my best here.
Hey, do we know what's going on with Jameis Winston? Is he just not getting? Is he just dropped or what?
Dude, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Because I would like to put him on my list, but not if he's not with the team.
Right, exactly. I don't know what is going to happen to him at all, and I don't trust it, to be completely honest. Okay, let's see if this works.
Okay, what do we got?
Application. All right.
Bow.
No, make it big. Okay, is it working now?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I would like to present to you,
Oh wow.
Judah Buddha.
Hello there.
The already this has minimal substance NFL rankings for a season that might not even happen in the first place. Please enjoy.
Right.
Okay, so first off, quarterbacks. I kind of grouped a couple at the bottom. I've got Roethlisberger, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, and Jimmy Garoppolo kind of all at the bottom. They all kind of rotate out for me in 11 to 15. 10, I've got Matthew Stafford, health depending. 9, I've got Josh Allen. 8, I am high on Carson Wentz this year. He had a strong end to the season, and I like that a lot. 7, oh, wait a minute. I just heard some kind of boop.
Yeah, that was Jerry.
There he is. Oh, just in time. I barely got started. So, yeah, Roethlisberger, Daniel Jones, Watson, Garoppolo at the bottom, Stafford, and Allen. I'm really high on Wentz, which could come back to bite me, but I really think he'll do well. 7, I've got Prescott. And 6, I've got Brady pretty high because I really think the Bucs are going to do well this year. I really do. I think they're going to do way better than any of us think. And I think that they'll be even better in year 2. But year 1, I think they're just going to put up a bunch of numbers. I accidentally have 2 6s. Rats. Okay, so 6A, I guess. Breed.
Cheetah.
I really, really think Emmanuel Sanders is going to make a difference. I really do.
Really?
Even though it may not make so much of a difference for Thomas, Brady will now have someone different to throw to besides 70-year-old Ted Ginn Jr. So I really think Sanders helps out Breeze a lot. 5, I've got Kyler Murray, which I know I said last week, but I'm super, super high on him. He just got the best receiver in the league, arguably, on his team. I really like Kyler Murray at 5. 4, I've got Matt Ryan. I know that's kind of high, but I think he'll do pretty well this year. 3, I'm sitting Patrick Mahomes. 2, I've got Russell Wilson, and I know, Jared, you're going to disagree with me on this. But he's moving into year 2 with his wide receiver core. The running backs finally got something worked out. And Russell Wilson's just always been too consistent in fantasy for me to put him any lower. Or maybe not any lower, but put him out of the top 10 at least. So I really think he's going to be number 2. And come on. It's Lamar Jackson, and the league still hasn't figured out a way to stop him. And so I've still got him at number 1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I got for quarterbacks, if y'all want to say.
Interesting.
That. Let's see. Hang, I'll be right back. I'll do one thing. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question or two, but yeah.
All right.
All right, while he's gone, I'll say, wish I could see all.
Yeah. Well, Thomas H. apparently knows I'm a Bears fan, and so he asked, what about Mitch Trubisky?
Where would you even put him? Is he going to play this year?
No, I don't know. It's like there's this weird thing going on in Chicago between, Trubisky's our guy, but we're going to go get a guy to possibly Replace him. Thomas. Oh man. Thomas H. That's wrong.
Let's see. Yeah. Well, yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, that you don't have Deshaun in your top. Your top 10 either.
He just missed out. It was kind of between, do I trust Stafford's health or Watson's wide receiving core?
Yeah. Yeah. My that's high. That's pretty high for Tom Brady. You're definitely pretty confident in him there.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm iffy on that. Yeah, Wilson. Going back to my thing on Wilson. So like, the main reason I had him down lower is, again, I think he'll do better over the course of the season. Mm-hmm. But so last year in his final, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, final 7 games, like he didn't crack. He cracked 245 passing yards once. Yeah. Only once over those final 7 games. He had a 286 yard game against Carolina. He never had more than 2 touchdowns. It was always 1 or 2 touchdowns. And then, he just doesn't run as much either. Like he never hit 30 rushing yards or had a rushing touchdown in those final 7 games. So I agree with you that he's going to finish better than where I've got him projected, but I don't know. I think 2's too high for him.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. But keep in mind, this is indeed you already know this has minimal substance NFL rankings for a season. That might not happen. So,
see, I missed that because I didn't come back in until yeah.
So I have some justification for what goes on in this ranking.
Look, I think we should be bold. I
agree.
I think we should talk about it in terms like we should really refine our theory of ranking. Like if
I agree. Yeah.
Because I mean I typically put people on the board where I would take them, like this is where I would take them. But if we're talking about but then I don't know, but then it's hard because it's not a composite, right? So it's like, well, I like this guy over him, but so maybe when we do a composite, and maybe next week we should do a composite, next Saturday do a composite, or next Tuesday, whenever you guys want to do it. We talk about where you want to take them, like where you would take them.
Okay.
Or where you think you can take him. Get away with taking him.
That's the trickier thing until you start seeing like real mock drafts and things like that, because that's the whole key for me. Like if I can, even if I think Daniel Jones is the second best quarterback, which I don't, but if I thought he was the second best quarterback, but I could take him nobody was really taking him before like 13th, 14th, 15th round, then I could still take him at 10 and still feel safe. And so that's a lot of it is like, where can I really get values with people?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, then maybe we should like really define, because either way, we just have to define it going forward. Like, what do our rankings mean? Does that mean like we think this guy is better than that guy, is going to end the season better? Like, what does it mean to have one guy ahead of another guy?
Mm-hmm.
True. That's a good point.
So what do you guys think?
I mean, again, for me, it's sort of a blend of where I think they'll finish overall, plus, I guess my system is where I think they'll roughly finish overall, plus the consistency of the player. So I can downgrade a guy like Russell Wilson or Amari Cooper, who are going to finish with good looking numbers. But when you have to get a good game out of them in the fantasy playoffs and you don't ever know what you're going to really get from them week to week, then I'm going to downgrade them a little bit for that reason.
I think for me, it's between consistency, how the team changed in the offseason, and also health issues. Health issues is absolutely crucial to me. And if you're not healthy, that could knock you down a lot in my rank.
But I'm talking about like not each individual of ours approach, but like what does it mean for the difference between the number 1 and the number 15? What is the common language we're all taking, not our different approaches? Like, are we saying that this person is going to be better than this person, and if so, how? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise, because if we all just have a different approach to ranking, then it's like we don't have a common like what is the rubric, I guess is what I'm asking. If we turn this into a competition and said like, okay, at the end, who's going to have the better rankings? Because at some point or another, all these guys, from a different statistical standpoint, are going to be, or many of them are going to be at the top at some point.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that right now. We'll have to.
We have to think about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys want to take a quick look at mine and then we'll go? Are we done with yours, AJ? Or you take
I've got running backs if you want to I've got running backs and wide receivers if you want to go.
Oh yeah, we just went through. Yeah, let's do that.
I'll try to go through them relatively fast.
No, you don't have to rush. You don't have to. You don't let him rush you.
I'm not rushing. No, well, it's 12:14. But okay. Yeah.
All right, let's try this again. See if this works. Okay, so running backs aren't super whack for me. So honorable mentions, I've got Sanders, Gurley, Mack, Singletary, and Drake, with probably for me Singletary being on the top of all of those. 10, I've got Eckler. I think he's going to take a large drop just because I think the Chargers are going to drop. 9, I've got Jacobs. 8, I've got Mixon. 7, I'm trying to remember why I put Zeke at 7, but I think it's more of my distrust of the Cowboys right now, because they are just an enigma to me, because they keep having all this talent and they don't do much with it. And they lost Travis Frederick, their star center. I don't know if they can replace that, and Zeke likes to hit the hole a lot, so he worries me as of right now. 6, I've got Chubb. He's playing in one of the toughest defense divisions in football, but he'll still be fine. 5, I've got Dalvin Cook. He's not higher because of injuries. 4, I've got Henry. I'm still keeping Aaron Jones at 3. I still think he's going to do very, very well. And Saquon bounces back from previous injury. Daniel Jones moves into year 2. Saquon's number 2. And then I still have McCaffrey at 1. These two, I've still got the number ones still sitting at number 1, just because McCaffrey was so good. He's not going to be as good as last year, but I think he's going to be absolute. I still think he's going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, how could you pick someone over Christian McCaffrey? Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be hard. I'm trying to, and I can't make it work.
Yeah. There's a certain thing in my mind that tries to also, because running backs year to year just generally don't, finish as the top guy 2 years in a row, but it's just hard to do it. I probably wouldn't be rooting for a lot of the number 1 pick in snake drafts, because you do have to take him there. You can't, at least with an auction, you can say, well, I don't want to spend that much money on one player, because I'm curious to see what he's going to go for. He's going to go for like $100+ in some auctions.
Yeah.
So you can justify it better in an auction, but in a snake draft, I mean, you just pretty well have to take him. Yeah. I guess Aaron Jones, I'm a little iffy on him that high. I pretty well agree with all your other rankings. If it was just his job there, I would feel much better about it. But they just seem so reluctant to turn it over to him. He finished the season really strong. Jamal Williams was hurt, and so he was getting all the carries. But, you know, there was a stretch there through especially the mid part of the season where he was just getting like anywhere from like 8 to 12 carries and, you know, still turning in a couple of solid games from those. But I don't know. It's not Aaron Jones. It's just, I don't trust how the Packers will use him.
Yeah, that's fair. And Thomas H actually found a really nice oversight that I completely missed because I kept looking at this ranking that I typed up and I'm like, this just looks wrong. Yeah. So Kamara, slip him above Cook and my ranking is complete. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. I completely messed up on that one. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything I got there. See, wide receivers for me is where it gets a little bit whack. So I went down to 15 here. So I've got DJ Chark at 15. I've got two DJs. I've got DJ and DJ at 15 and 14. I think Cooper Kupp is just too good to hold back, but I don't trust the Rams as much, even though the Rams did come on at the end of last season very strongly. So I'll put them at I'll put him at 13. Keenan Allen is good, but I don't know what's going to happen in LA, so I put him at 12. Devontae Parker, I'm going to put at 11 because he did very well last year. I think this is the second year he comes into his own, keeps going. Cooper at 10, probably should have put him higher, but I really, really like the Denver Broncos this year. And I really, really like Courtland Sutton at number 9. Yes. I've got Galladay at 8.
It's interesting.
And Adams worries me. I got him at 7, which I keep thinking is
hater.
But I know you can cry Bears fan all day.
Hater.
It's his health that worries me. It's his health. He got injured last year. He's been injured before.
Yeah,
I think he'll get a lot of yards. I don't know how good the Packers are going to be. We all know their wide receiving core was a mess as soon as Adams left the building last year. And I don't think they can just keep relying on him for everything. Because, like, we've seen teams just throw to one wide receiver all the time, a la AJ Green, a la Julio Jones, and what happens? They just keep getting injured because you don't have anyone else. And so I'm worried about Adams, and I really hope the Packers, or not really hope because I'm a Bears fan, but I really think the Packers should take a wide receiver in the draft because they need to get a number 2 to help Devontae Adams out, and if that happens, I put him higher.
Well, now they did, depending on how much confidence you have in him, and they may still draft a guy, but they did sign the guy that the Colts signed last year to be the number 2 wide receiver, and he got hurt at the beginning of the year and missed the whole season. Devin Funchess.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I don't know how much confidence they give.
But that he would be, I think, at minimum, a better number 2 than what they had last year.
Yeah, you're right.
That is fair. The Packers didn't have a 2. They had a bunch of 4s last year.
He's huge.
Yeah, he's a big guy. And I mean, he had, a couple of good years in Carolina. So
yeah. And then other ones, I've got Evans at 6. I've got Julio at 5. I've got Godwin at 4. I'm really on the Bucs statistics this year. I think they'll be a statistically good team, but I don't know if that'll carry over into the playoffs. I've got Reek the Freak sitting at number 3. I've got Michael Thomas at 2.
Wow, and that's a bold one.
Hopkins at 1. Because see, look, I told you this is the you already know this has minimal substance NFL rankings that take place in March for a season that might not already happen. And I really like Kyler Murray and Hopkins in Arizona because Murray was solid last year. And you just gave him arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL. You could argue him or you could argue Thomas. And I love having the 2 of them together. I really, really do. And so that's I mean, I say it's a bold prediction, and of course it's 8 months before however many months before the season's out. But I really like Hopkins in Arizona.
Wow.
I think he could be better. I think he could be better than last year. Mm-hmm. Of course, I've gotten burned by Odell Beckham going to Cleveland, and that's still kind of fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson's first year in Chicago. It's just wide receivers in new situations have not been kind to me. So that's kind of scared me a little bit about Hopkins, but
Yeah. Taking those two with Robinson, originally I think I had him like later in the year that year, but he worried me because Trubisky and also his injury history worried me. And then when it came to Odell, I just didn't trust the Browns at all. Like I trust, but if I compare Kyler Murray to Baker Mayfield in how I trust them moving into their next season, it is night and day for me, like completely night and day. So I think
except it's going to be the same thing.
I don't think so. I do not think so at all. So yeah, that's what I got for wide receivers and tight ends. I didn't have time to type those up, so I'll just read those off real quick. 10, I've got Eric Ebron in Pittsburgh. I think he'll do well. If y'all remember, long time ago, but Heath Miller used to be one of Ben Roethlisberger's favorite targets for a long time. And so I've got Ebron at 10. I've got Greg Olsen at 9, assuming that the Seahawks don't run 5 tight end sets every time they play football. I've got Hooper at 8. I've got Jared Cook at 7. Tyler Higbee at 6. Ertz at 5. I think Darren Waller is going to do really well. I'm putting him at 4. I've got Andrews at 3 just because Kittle is insane at 2. And then Travis Kelce is my boy, so I got to put him at 1. So those are my tight ends really fast.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's... Who did you have really high that you said? I can't see it, so...
Ebron?
Ebron.
Who did tell me your 3, 4, 5 again?
Yeah. Andrews at 3, Waller at 4, Ertz at 5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's just with Ertz, Goddard is just I feel like he's just gonna take more passes and more yards from him. So I think Ertz is still gonna do well, but compared to Waller, Andrews and Kittle and Kelce, I don't think it matches up. And I don't put
Waller at 5?
At 4. At 4, yeah.
4?
He did. He finished, I think, 5th last year. Or third. No, he finished 3rd last year. Sorry, he finished 3rd last year.
Yeah. After those first handful of really good tight ends, it starts getting pretty. It doesn't drop. Throw. Well, it wasn't that they were bad. There was actually, I think, ended up being a lot of depth at tight end, but he just ended up being kind of the cream of the crop of the non-elite tight ends. So
Waller, who's he play for again?
The Raiders.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about Waller. I didn't even put him in my. What's his first name?
Darren
Waller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the non-existent Ravens fans watching this would want to defend Andrews being higher, but there's just too many weapons in Baltimore for me to have him consistently putting up numbers. So, and I know you could say the same about Kansas City, but Kelsey's been more consistent.
I feel better about Andrews because Hurst got traded, because Hurst was that number 2 tight end. They still have, I think, Nick Boyle, who was, they had 3 good tight ends, but he's just he's so different than their other targets because all their other targets are little guys. It's like Boykin and Willie Snead, and Andrews is just such a big beast of a target. I still feel pretty good about him. If he stays hurt like he did last year, like every week he was questionable with a foot injury last year, if he goes through that again, then I'll probably have to start trying to stay away from him. But hopefully he's healthier this year.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. That's everything I got.
All right. I like it.
That's all you.
Let me just make one change here. Oops.
And while you're pulling that up, Thomas H had dropped a question earlier. He asked, "Do you think Cam will drop in top 10 depending where he lands?"
He could. But right now, where's he going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big question. We were talking while you were gone. Let's see. I need Roto Hacking's rankings. While you were gone, we were talking about. Who were we talking about? Jameis. Remember, AJ? Yeah. And we're just like, where is he? Is he just not going to play in the NFL this year? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've got some crazy stuff here. Let's not be. Let me see if I can. How do you zoom in? Zoomy, where are you? All right, there we go. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, can you guys see that?
Yep.
So let's keep it quick. Mainly the crazy one, I think, for me is Matt Ryan being so high. And all right, and maybe Phillip Rivers and Kyler Murray being so low.
Oh yeah, you have no confidence in Kyler Murray.
No, just like I didn't have confidence in Baker Mayfield last year.
Completely different.
It's going to be the same situation. Don't trust.
Kyler's got a rushing floor.
That is true. He'll be better. I'm exaggerating with that comparison, but
also I like how you cheated. You basically cheated by one because your category name takes up the first slot.
I didn't even see that. Yes, I need to put one more slot, and I didn't finish tight ends. Like tight ends to me, after the first 6 or 7, it's just like a wash.
Well, we finally are getting to a point now where tight ends can actually be like more consistent, because we had a drought for a while where it was literally Kelsey, Kittle, and that was about it. And then after that, you just had to grab whatever Kobe Fleener was left on the waiver wire to get you 3 points. Like I feel like we actually are in a time where now tight ends have moved from we'll get you 10 points once every 7 games to we can get you 10 points every other game now, which is a lot better than how it used to be.
That's true. These are going to change wildly in the next couple of weeks, couple of months for sure. So for running back, I think the only thing that's sort of Nick Chubb is really high. Alvin Kamara is really high. Josh Jacobs, I think, is higher than you guys. And Henry, of course, is a lot lower. I have Gurley. I'm going to put Gurley in my first round. Like the more I read about him, the more I think about him.
Interesting.
I think he's going to be dynamo with the Falcons.
Interesting.
I'm betting that's a bet that he is not actually, terribly injured. But just I was looking at a little bit of the tape from last season, and just he looks just as fast. He looks Gurley fast. He just had a terrible offensive line. Now, that's also a risk because I'm really not sure. I want to take a look. I'm going to take a deeper look at the Falcons offensive line. But this is based off of me just thinking, what's his name? Who's the guy who beat me in the finals there? The running back, old guy, what's his name?
Are you talking about Devonta Freeman?
Devonta Freeman could do what he did. I'm pretty sure that Gurley, who's like maybe 5 feet taller than Devonta Freeman, can do way better.
Okay.
The ones I had trouble with is Aaron Jones.
You put it really, really low.
I couldn't I had trouble with Devin Singletary. I wanted to put Devin Singletary higher, and I just couldn't. What I might end up doing is just dropping somebody at the top, dropping a Christian McCaffrey, just taking a chance and just dropping one of them out, because one of these top 3 is just going to not perform.
But how do you guess that?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look at their situations. It might be McCaffrey. I might just drop him out, like down.
Wow.
I might drop him down to like 9th or something.
So if Christian McCaffrey was at the 7th or 8th pick, you might not take him.
7th or 8th?
If you're dropping him to 9th.
Yeah. Wow. Well, but this is.
This is this is the way too early. Possibly might not even happen.
No, what I'm saying though, this isn't composite, so they're like there's also like wide receivers I might take over him.
Yeah, so he might even be smaller. So Christian McCaffrey might not even be a first round pick for you.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm starting to get more and more worried about him. But that's just obviously I have him at number 1 right now. That's just sort of like as I'm thinking about it, like I have to get myself in a space to be able to drop him. Like, I am going to try to be ruthless with these. Right now, this is like milk toast. I just needed something,
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it because that guy for me is probably Kamara because
Mm.
because I don't think, and not that I wouldn't take him at a certain point, but I don't know that I'll own any shares of him because he's probably still going to be a first round pick, and I don't know what you're going to get with him. You know, I mean, he stopped catching that many passes last year. They've got more weapons. They're going more to Michael Thomas. They've got Emmanuel Sanders now. They were using Latavius Murray more. And Kamara was never, he's never been a 1,000-yard rusher kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
His stats were going to regress because he had, 14 touchdowns in 2018, 14 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he had good numbers overall because he was having, he was getting a lot of receiving yards and stuff like that. But I don't know. I just don't know if I can justify the risk on Kamara where he'll be drafted.
See, and I'm the opposite. I may have in the next few months, I may have Kamara as my number one, just because I believe he's got some positive regression coming back to him as far as touchdowns go, and I think that they're going to look I watched a lot of Saints games last year, and just how many times he was open. Not to mention he was injured last year, but how many times he was open in the intermediate. And Breeze went for the long ball with Thomas. I might end up lowering Thomas and putting Kamara higher. I think Josh Jacobs, I really am tempted to put him in the top 3.
Interesting.
I don't see why not. I mean, he was top 3 performance last year for a couple of weeks. He got injured. They're going to be in a much more high profile situation. I don't know.
I think you can justify. I don't think it would be crazy to put him at 3. I think the main issue I have is just the Raiders' other weapons. Like if they don't draft a receiver, or did that offense really get better to really put him in more positions to score touchdowns?
Yeah,
I'm really curious about. Oh man, that's just. So I am really curious about Melvin Gordon sneaking into the bottom. Is that more of just because of Gordon, or is that because of you believe in him in Denver?
I believe in his skill. I took a chance, and I'm just thinking that they're gonna trade away Philip. What's his name? Phillips? No.
Philip Lindsay or Royce Freeman.
Philip Lindsay. Yeah, I think they're gonna trade Philip Lindsay. I think they could get something pretty good for him. And I don't know. I just it was him, or I still have to figure out where to put Eckler. Eckler is going to be in my top 15. I mean, so he would be right. I probably, since I don't have 15 there, I'll probably move Melvin Gordon down and put Eckler there instead. I really want to move up Leonard Fournette.
No.
I do. I think they're going to go to him quite a bit more.
But injury. Leonard Fournette is
I don't factor injury at all. I don't factor injury.
Oh, okay.
You can't. I just don't think you can predict injury.
Then
there's literally a website called the Sports Injury Predictor.
I don't understand.
And it's wrong all the time.
I don't understand then if you're not factoring in injury. That would be my only reason for dropping Christian McCaffrey down. Maybe he gets hurt or something. Performance wise.
Oh
yeah. You're right. That's a good point. Yeah, I guess I just want to drop him down because I just can't see him being number 1 again. It just in the way fantasy works, that just seems anathema to put him at the top again. It just seems it just seems dumb.
Yeah. It seems lazy and in the easy, prediction,
But you're right. I mean, I can't think of a reason why I have him at number 1 still. I really wanted to put somebody else, but
well, Bridgewater's there. So then the question becomes, will he check down as much as Kyle Allen did last year? That's another question.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's true. But no, Bridgewater is a check down guy. I don't see that being a big difference.
I think what's interesting about our receiver rankings is how, like, for me, I've kind of got the Bucks wide receivers somewhere in the middle between the two of you. AJ's really high on them, and you have Godwin all the way down at, I guess, well, what's really technically 13, and then Mike Evans isn't on your board. So AJ was kind of unsure about me having Evans that low. You don't even have him on your board at all.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm really.
What is Odell at? Odell's at 5. And
Yeah, you're really expecting some bounce backs from Odell and Juju.
I'm a bounce back type guy. I believe, like, just in my few years of doing fantasy football, like, it just seems like if they have the skill, their situation, it will work itself out. Like that terrible season by the Browns last year, that's what's coming for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns are actually going to bounce back, and I think the people that were really high on them last year are going to feel real burnt this year and stay away from them, when that's just not how sports work, you know? Like, they're going to get better.
Yeah.
And Odell Beckham is like, he is a Hall of Famer skill-wise.
Yeah, it's normally I would agree with you. It's the potential dysfunction that Odell brings, that Baker brings, that Cleveland brings.
Yeah. I get that.
That kind of makes me uneasy about how much of a bounce back there's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, if I didn't worry about that, he'd be number 1.
Yeah, because the thing with judging off of skill a lot, though, because if we're talking about, because then you could put Cam as an athlete. He's probably one of the best athletes in the NFL. And that's just hard because
I don't believe he's got
skill.
I don't think of Cam as high skill. I think of him as high athlete, but that's not skill.
But even with Beckham as high skill, yes, he's great. But it's just Cincinnati. Cleveland, they didn't click. Like even when they had good weeks, and then Landry's still there to steal passes from him. And then there's still Nick Chubb, who's the star of the team, whether everybody knows it or not. It's too.
I got Nick Chubb 6, or 5.
Yeah.
The one so if we're talking about wide receivers, the one I thought putting Kenny Galladay was pretty as third. I might even, I'm tempted to put him higher. Like if I drop Michael Thomas, Kenny Galladay is the one who may gain the most. Devontae Adams is tough. Like Ethan wanted to put him really high or really low. I'm kind of with you guys. Like, just because, like, I think it is the question mark as to what are they doing with the team. The fact that they haven't been in the news at all, except for getting, they did get Funches. I'd forgotten about that. Juju Smith, man, I think he's coming back. I think he's back. Chark. AJ, okay, so Chark, that wasn't hard for me. I believe in his talent. Like, to me, him and Galladay, I believe that DJ Chark is just a year behind Galladay as far as, in the projection. AJ Brown is similar, but, like, he just does so much with so little, Just, you take away a couple of those touchdowns per game. I don't know. He just had so many touchdowns, and touchdowns are fluky. So I probably have him too high. I just love watching him though. After hearing Jared talk about him and going watching him, like he is fun to watch. So, or maybe it was you, AJ. I can't remember who was talking about him last year.
Jared was high on AJ. Yeah. I was high on Tannehill.
Right, Tannehill. I don't have Tannehill in my top 15.
Yeah, that's a good point. I need to adjust my own rankings.
I'm thinking, where do I put him? Cooper was hard. I don't know where to put Amari Cooper.
He was hard.
I guess we could put. I kind of want to put DJ Moore, and he might end up being last. Cooper, Adam Thielen, like he could easily be number 1.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Those are the hard ones. Julio is not going to go any higher. Although I probably need to have as my 15th Ridley or Brown. One of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any more questions or comments about the wide receivers?
I don't think.
I'm curious. So is Juju, who's currently sitting at 6, is that more of you believe Juju himself is going to have a better year with Roethlisberger, or where is that faith coming from with Juju?
I'm just going off the assumption he's not going to get hurt again this year, and that he's going to have Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's not going to get hurt. And I just believe, like, again, the only thing I really know about Juju, I can really predict, is his skill. His skill's not going to go down. His is probably going to go up. And he is just a highly talented young wide receiver who I can't imagine him being lower than 6.
Okay. So do you finally admit he's better than Sterling Shepard?
Oh, Sterling Shepard's right around the same. What time is it? Yeah, I admit it. Although, yeah, I admit it. Although, if Daniel Jones is really high, like does really well, is like in the top 3 this year, like it's gonna have to include Sterling Shepard. I'm sorry.
Oh boy. Could include Golden Tate more.
Who?
Judas.
Golden Tate? Okay. And then tight ends, I don't know. Like tight ends are just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Zach Ertz, though, I don't think is going to do. I think
you put Goddard above him.
I think Goddard is going to be the preeminent tight end in
That's
that.
That's a bold prediction.
Bold move.
Look, Zach Ertz is getting old, and tight end is another one of those positions that once you start getting old, once you start falling off, especially when you have your clone right there to play in your stead.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much age as it is that Goddard's there, because we've seen great tight ends last for years, i.e. Tony Gonzalez, i.e. Antonio Gates played for 17 years or however.
But I'm just saying when they start to fall off, they start to fall off, and he started to fall off last year.
But that was partially because I think it's more Goddard and less Ertz's fault. I don't think it's Ertz's health. It's more Goddard's.
I've been following Goddard for a while, and I think he is really good.
You've got Henry pretty high though, sitting at 4. No Phillip Rivers.
Yeah. That's
LA.
That's the other thing is that I think Henry. Again, I'm not betting on any. He might get hurt. I don't know. But without any injury, I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. He's going to be the team. Like that is what he is going to be, where they go for touchdowns. Him and Michael Williams.
Okay. Interesting. No Keenan Allen over there?
Yeah, you know what?
Matthew Berry had him 19 on his list.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you feel about him? Both of you guys.
Yeah, until I know what their quarterback situation is, I won't put him in my top 15.
Same here.
Yeah, that's the hard thing with all these guys that we don't really know about their quarterback yet. You know what? No. I'm really curious to know where Jameis goes. I want to know where Jameis is going to go. If he doesn't go anywhere, I'm going to probably have to do an apology letter. The other one that was hard for me is Jared Cook.
Really?
Like, I wanted to put him higher, and I just couldn't. You notice I have Breeze is like 4. I think the Saints are going. It's going to be like not only probably his last chance to really go for gold, as far as he has everything else, but as far as the Super Bowl,
yeah.
I just think it's going to be like a Tom Brady revenge type, like Patriots revenge type season.
Interesting.
I think they're just going to torch people this year because they're basically the same team, and they torched people this year.
I am curious. Your tight end rankings. You've got Hawkinson and Vance McDonald at the bottom, but no Austin Hooper.
I didn't know where I was rushed. I didn't know where to put Hooper. I wanted to put him where Waller is. Actually, I had him where Waller is, and I put Waller instead.
Interesting.
So yeah, he'll probably be in there somewhere. I can't put Zach Ertz any further down. So he'll probably be right there, either before or after Hurst.
Okay.
That's all I got, guys. I actually have a meeting at 1, so.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Okay.
Yeah, and I have. Let's see if I can. If you can see my phone, if I can turn it.
How many texts did you get?
You can't really. It won't really see. It's like 50. Like 50 notifications.
Have you ever had that many texts in the morning before?
No, I don't know what else is going on. It's I've seen it's nothing too crazy. But it's
Okay,
just
you
like,
checked though
it's
to
just
make
like-
sure there's no emergency. 'Cause-
Yeah, there's not. It's just like a coincidental storm of text messages. So yeah.
You know what it reminded me of? Okay, but real quick, I used to watch the fantasy football feast, I think it was called, podcast with I forget, but it had Evan Silva and I forget the other guy's name. He used to be, anyways, but Evan Silva's phone, he used to like use it to record, and it would like buzz all the time. And somebody even made like a Twitter for Evan Silva's phone or something like that. It's funny.
Nice.
That's what I was thinking of when you guys were when I kept hearing those dings.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm out of here.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
I'm gonna
that was
put.
fun.
Can you send me your or like share with me your rankings? I'm gonna put them up on the website.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a juggernaut of an episode.
How many hours?
This is we just hit the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, it's not as big as
we went over 2 hours because we came in about 11:30. So,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
yeah. All right, I gotta go respond to texts.
Okay.
So,
Bye,
we'll
guys.
see you Tuesday night, I guess.
Yes. All right.
Tuesday night.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.